Horseshoes aren't just for good luck. Introduction. I had the best summer ever when I was 9 years old. That was the summer I went to visit Gram, my great-grandmother, who lived at the seashore. I had never seen the ocean before. Dad hoped I would love visiting here as much as he had when he was a kid. Life by the sea. I did so many new things. Dad took me to the train station for my first train ride, and I took the train by myself from the city towns and the countryside went by outside the window. Grandma and her friend Jim met my train at the station. We drove out to her large, old home in the little beach town where she lived. Her town was very different from the city. Most people walked or rode bicycles instead of driving cars. I even saw horse-drawn carriages. While Graham was making dinner, I climbed the creaky wooden stairway up to the second floor to pick which bedroom I wanted. Each bedroom had different colored wallpaper. As soon as I looked out the window in the yellow room, I knew it was the room I wanted. I could see sand, birds, blue sky, and the ocean waves. My summer home. It was much quieter here than in the city. There were no horns and no sirens, but I could hear the sound of the waves. I had to go see the ocean up close. I ran downstairs and said, "I'm going out to the beach." Graham stopped me and said I needed to learn the rules of the sea before I could go to the beach alone. We left our shoes on the porch and walked down to the beach together. The rough and tickled under my toes. Graham showed me the long shoreline between two rocks jetties. The jetties were long walls of rocks that stretched out into the ocean. Graham said the town had built them years ago to prevent the beach sand from eroding away with the tides. Graham told me to remember the rules in order to be safe. She said not to go into the water unless she or Jim were with me. She told me about currents and the undertow. They were strong flows of water that could drag me far out into the ocean. She said if I respected and followed the rules of the sea, I would learn to love the ocean. I already love the crisp, salty smell in the air, the waves rolling onto the shore, lulling me to sleep at night. Limitless. I woke with the sun shining on my face. I pulled out on shorts, a t-shirt, and ran downstairs. Remember the rules, Graham said, and I nodded as I ran out the back door onto the sand. But what were these brownish gray things scattered all over the beach? The sand was covered in round things that had shells and pointed tails. Some were lying on their shells, backs are wiggling around. I watched them until Graham called me for breakfast. During breakfast, I asked Graham about what I had seen. Those are horseshoe crabs, a type of arthropod, she said. Scientists call them limuli, but most people call them horseshoe crabs because the U shape in their shells. I told Graham about those upside-down, wiggling ones, she said. They were trying to use their tails to turn themselves upright if they couldn't turn over. They would get too hot and die. Graham told me that if a crab is stranded on the hot beach after the tide goes out, it tries to stay cool by burrowing into the wet sand. She also said the females will lay green jelly-like eggs under the sand. One female crab might lay 80,000 eggs in one season. Graham said that within 2 weeks, the tiny larvae that develop from the eggs wash out to the ocean. They don't have tails yet. After they molt, towards the end of summer, they grow a tail. What is molt? I asked Graham. Non-molting is when an animal sheds skin, fur, or feather and then grows back new ones. Graham said, usually this happens because the animal is growing larger. Graham said that for the first 3 years, young crabs molt several times a year. After that, they molt just once a year until they are grown. Later, while we were walking on the beach, Graham told me that when crabs get tired of swimming or floating on their shell back, they will let themselves slowly sink to the bottom of the ocean to eat. On the bottom, the horseshoe crabs eat algae, little soft shell, clams, surf clams, worms, and other small invertebrates. Because they grind food with their spiny legs segments, these crabs have to be walking to chew their food. Scientists study horseshoe crabs to learn more about their 9 eyes and the nervous systems. Also, limulus blood can be used to test for some human diseases and to test new drugs. Graham said that horseshoe crabs have been around for 3,500 million years, since dinosaurs roamed the earth. Rescuing. Graham gave me a job. Every morning, I ran to the beach to save as many horseshoe crabs as I could. I would turn them over. Then I'd pick up the crabs and toss them into the waves. Sometimes I'd toss them into the waves from the end of the jetty and wish them good luck. As they floated away, I also tried to chase birds away when I saw them eating the eggs. But Graham told me I should leave the birds alone because they needed food to eat on their flight back north. One morning, I walked to the beach and there were no horseshoe crabs. I ran back to the house to ask what had happened. Graham said that their time for laying eggs was finished until next year. Graham said the next year I could come back and be there to save them again. I walked back to the beach and lay down on the warm, damp sand. My summer vacation had just begun. What would I do now?